Howdy there, partners, and happy Thanksgiving. Welcome again to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name's Doyle, better known to you as the Big D, back with another back-to-back review in a week of Disney. This time I bring to you the Apple Dumpling Gang from 1975, along with its sequel, 1979's The Apple Dumpling Gang Rides Again. Now, both films starred Don Knotts and Tim Conway. But anyway, I'll talk about them when I get into the movies, though. Anyway, Apple Dumpling Gang is first. It came out in 75. The film was directed by Norman Tokar, who, of course, I brought him up in my review of The Ugly Dachshund yesterday, which he had directed. He also directed other Disney movies like The Happiest Millionaire, The Horse in the Great Flannel Suit, No Deposit, No Return, which also starred Don Knotts, Candle Shoe, and The Cat from Outer Space. And he also directed the original Where the Red Fern Grows as well. I had forgotten to mention that, but anyway. The film is based on the book of the same name by Jack Bickham. And let's see now. This is kind of hard to explain, but anyway. Okay, Paul J. Smith and Buddy Baker composed the music for it, and same with the sequel, which I'll get into later. Anyway. Now, both Knotts and Conway developed different styles of pulling off their comedy. Now, of course, Conway's characters were usually the dumber of the two, which made Knotts usually the brains of the group, but though they were both equally inept. And, of course, there's also the theme song to the movie, which was done by Randy Sparks and the Back Porch Majority. So, the film kind of got mixed response and what have you, but it's still pretty fun and all. So, if you've not watched this movie, I would advise you to stop the video. So, if you've not seen either of these, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to stop before I get into this. But don't worry, there's not really going to be no spoilers, or not many spoilers or anything, so you got 5 seconds to stop. Okay, here we go. Now, the Apple Dumpling Gang, it's about a slick gambler named Russell Donovan, played by Bill Bixby, who, of course, this was before he was on TV's The Incredible Hulk, although he was big on TV's My Favorite Martian before this. Anyway, he comes to the town of Quake City en route to New Orleans. Well, he meets his old associate, John Wintle. He's leaving for San Francisco and asks Donovan to sign for valuables coming in on the stagecoach tomorrow. So he accepts a down payment and promises to pick up the valuables. Unfortunately, the next day, he's in for a rude awakening when he finds out the valuables happen to be 3 orphan siblings. Bobby, Clovis, and Celia Bradley. And he's not too thrilled about this, especially when he talks to the stagecoach driver, Magnolia Clydesdale, or Dusty as she's known as, played by Susan Clark, who of course would be married to football star Alex Karras and would go on to star alongside young Emmanuel Lewis on TV's Webster in the 80s. Well, he explains that Wintle is in fact the children's relative and their de facto legal guardian. With their relative gone, Donovan promising to care for the valuables, they are no wards of Donovan. Well, he soon learns that he is legally obligated unless he can have someone else take custody of the children, as so says Homer McCoy, the town's sheriff, barber, judge, and justice of the peace, played by Harry Morgan, who of course was big on TV's MASH at the time. I do believe he was on MASH at that time, I'm sure, but I've been wrong before. So, apparently these kids are a bunch of mischief makers causing havoc and all that jazz. And soon after so much havoc, they want Donovan to pay for all the damages these kids have done. So, but another thing happened when he arrived in Quake City. He is the target of the Hash Knife outfit, which consists of two ne'er-do-well former members of the Stillwell Gang. Amos Tucker, played by Tim Conway, and Theodore Ogilvy, played by Don Knotts. And they were once very threatening until they were ousted by their former boss, Frank Stillwell, played by Slim Pickens, for shooting him in the leg. Whoa. Well, they continuously try to rob Mr. Donovan, but end up with disastrous results. Now, they decide that the children decide to help Donovan out, make money by going into a gold mine that they had learned they inherited. And soon, they encounter Amos and Theodore at their hideout and become acquainted. And they direct the kids to the mine after mistaking them for a posse. Well, the Brownwood children end up finding a massive gold nugget. And boy, that was really something. So anyway, these two, Theodore and Amos, tried to find their way to get into the bank and steal it. But they fail every time. But anyway, let me see now. And soon they get caught in the act, and McCoy finds them guilty and orders death warrants for them, causing the two to retreat to their hideout. But if that wasn't enough, the Stillwell Gang enters town and plans to steal it. So, Frank impersonates a priest to gain more information about the transportation of the gold from Dusty's dad, Colonel T.R. Clydesdale, played by David Wayne, who was best known for doing movies and TV shows. The only thing I knew this guy from was when he played Jervis Tetch, alias the Mad Hatter, on Batman. But anyway, soon the children have grown attached to both Donovan and Dusty. And then they go at Theodore and Amos and allow them to steal the gold. And if that gold goes missing, Wendell will have no more desire for the children and will return custody. Ooh. But now, I'm really not going to try to give too much of the ending, but that's all I'm going to tell you. I ain't going to give much more of this story because I don't want to spoil more of this movie, okay? You're going to have to see it. If you have seen it, congrats. If you haven't, I would ask, would this be a recommendation? You better believe it. At first, I wasn't too big on the movie at first, but then a few years later, I decided to give the film a second chance. And it's grown on me a bit more, so I would definitely recommend you check out the Apple Dumpling Gang. It is on Disney Plus. You'll be happy to know that, so look it up. You can also find it on the Don Knotts 4 movie collection on DVD, so just in case. But anyway, I do like how the movie turns out in the end, which is absolutely fun. But anyway, another fun moment is when after they, in a way, get hitched, Dusty kind of gets into a bit of a fight with Donovan in the saloon, which is absolutely funny and stuff like that. But I do love the Apple Dumpling Gang. It's pretty funny. I think you'll really like it. But anyway, that's about it, actually. All I can say about it. Anyway, let's go on to the sequel. And that would be 1979's The Apple Dumpling Gang rides again. Now, Tim Conway and Don Knotts are back again in this. Harry Morgan also returns, although he plays a different character, though. None of the rest of the original cast is back, although their characters are mentioned, though. So, Amos and Theodore, now going straight, arrive in the boom town of Junction City to start anew, but they end up causing havoc while getting cheated out of their money by two bank robbers named West and Hank. And to make matters worse, they end up being suspected of the robbery and end up on the run from the town's feared lawman, Marshal Wooly Bill Hitchcock, played by Kenneth Mars, who I believe played that Bobby in that English Bobby in Young Frankenstein, and he also lent his voice to cartoon series, most notably King Triton in The Little Mermaid, which of course I reviewed over a week ago. So, he has now developed a personal vendetta towards Amos and Theodore after they accidentally humiliated and injured him on 2 occasions. So they escape and ditching their dog, Clarice, as she was used by the robbers, they enlist in the U.S. cavalry at Fort Concho. But their bumblings and a run with a now insane marshal and all that jazz really causes more chaos at the fort than you can ever imagine. But I can tell you how that goes. This movie kind of wasn't as successful as its predecessor. You can also find this on Disney Plus as well. And after that, their commander, Major Gaskill, that's Harry Morgan's character in this movie, is relieved of his position while Amos and Theodore are placed in a military jail. But however, when they are brought there, the jail turned out to be a cover for a robber baron named, are you ready for this? Big Mac, played by Jack Elam, who the previous year played Rattlesnake in Hot Lead and Cold Feet, which I just did a review of earlier. And a guy who, not Mr. Knott's character, Denver Kid, was always confronting in certain scenes of that movie. But anyway, he proceeds to recruit Amos and Theodore for an upcoming train robbery. Well, they are still determined to go straight, but they attempt to extricate themselves from the situation by attempting to warn the local sheriff. But unfortunately, the sheriff's not available, but they are told to visit the saloon as there is a visiting U.S. Marshal. And that guy just happens to be, well, you know, you're right, Hitchcock. He's back up and going. But anyway, Amos and Theodore dress up as barroom dance girls, which is absolutely fun, and try to hide themselves from Big Mac and his crew. But unfortunately, they soon make a trade for blankets to hide themselves and end up on the train Big Mac is targeting. But soon they get a little bit of help from Jeff Reed, played by Tim Matheson, a private, but, well, soon reveals something really cool to these guys, because, well, you'll have to watch the movie. And of course, he also had a little bit of help from Major Gaskill's daughter, Millie, played by Alyssa Davalos. And, well, that's all I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to give the rest, much of this movie away, because you're going to have to see this movie. And it did celebrate its 40th anniversary this past summer, so now you know. Anyway, I'm going to say, while this may not have done as well as the previous movie, I'm going to say give this a shot. The film was directed by Vincent McEvity, who had also directed lots of Disney movies, of course. And let's see. Well, he's directed lots of them. And amongst some of them included The Strongest Man in the World, which, of course, was the final installment of the Dexter Riley trilogy, which I'll be reviewing next month, as well as Herbie Goes to My Carlo, which I reviewed not so long ago, along with its sequel, Herbie Goes Bananas. Oh boy, he directed lots of these. So anyway, that's about it I'm gonna say about these here. Anyway, like I said, both Apple Dumpling Gang movies are on Disney Plus, so look them up and check them out if you're interested. And if you've seen these movies, please feel free to let me know what you thought about them in the comments section. And like and subscribe to my channel and be a part of the Big D Nation. Now, there would also be a made-for-TV remake about a couple years after that sequel was done. It was kind of a new version, and it had Ed Begley Jr. and R.E. Johnson in the roles of Amos and Theodore. And it was called Tales of the Apple Dumpling Gang, but I've never seen it though. But just thought I'd give you a heads up. And there would be a TV series called Gunshy, I believe it was called, but that's a different one. It's rarely remembered and was short-lived. But anyway, please let me know what you thought about the Apple Dumpling Gang or the Apple Dumpling Gang Rise Again, or both of these movies in the comment section, okay? And thank you very much for watching. Join me again next time when I review, well, it's going to be another back-to-back review, and this time it'll be Mary Poppins and Mary Poppins Returns. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya, and adios. Just drew that in for fun. See ya.